Palm Sunday. The day has finally come. He arrives in the holy city of Jerusalem. Jesus has been teaching and preaching and healing all over the countryside. For 3 years, he's been moving from town to town, and the crowds now welcome him, waving palm branches. Blessed is Jesus, who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest, they shout. Of course, the disciples are not fully aware of what lies ahead, but Jesus does. In fact, I'm quite convinced that Jesus knew from early on in his ministry that his path was going to take him to death. Later on in time, his disciples would remember how he hinted at this. They would even remember how he tried to prepare them for it. Of course, at the time, they didn't want to hear anything of it. You, Lord? Die? Surely not. We've got too much to do. The movement's just getting started. We've got to heal more of the sick. We have to bring peace to those in despair. We have to relieve the oppressed, chastise the hypocrites. We've got lots more to do. But Jesus knew otherwise. His earthly ministry was coming to an end. Not that he was totally okay with it. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he throws himself down on the ground in prayer and cries out, "Oh, my Father, does this have to be? Is there any other way? Is there any other way?" There's no doubt about it. There is a mysterious power about sacrifice. When significant sacrifices are made, powerful things can happen. Oh, teaching and preaching and healing are good. They're very good. They help bring about positive change in people's lives and even bring some change to the world. But they are still limited. The kind of change that can occur is still limited. When it comes to awesome personal transformation, nothing can compare to the mysterious power of sacrifice. In life, the power of sacrifice is all around us. Think about it just for a moment. As a child, when you are growing up, you want to gain some privileges of being older. But the sacrifice you have to make is that you have to give up the protection of others and take on some of your own responsibility. It has an impact both on you and on others. When you're raising a family, parents need to sacrifice an enormous amount of their time and energy in order to nurture and support their children. It has an impact both on you and them. These are common examples of sacrifices that we make in our lives. And we make them because deep down we feel that what is gained is much more than what is lost. In offering ourselves to others in humility, both we and they are transformed. To make a sacrifice is to realize that a part of us has to be left behind. It has to die in order for new life to emerge in both us and others. Can we hear the echo of Jesus' words? One must lose one's life in order to gain it. If a seed remains a seed, then it gains nothing. But if it dies and falls to the ground, it bears much fruit. Well, for the past 3 weeks, leading up to this Palm Sunday, as we and people around the world have been struggling to contain a deadly virus, the word that our leaders have been using over and over again is the word sacrifice. I must say, it's quite something to hear our Prime Minister and our Provincial Premier calling upon all people in Canada to make a significant personal sacrifice. You don't hear that every day. That's not the kind of language we're used to hearing on the hourly news. There's good reason for it. The United Nations has declared that this pandemic is now the greatest threat to human society since the Second World War. Not since then have Canadians been called upon to make such real and personal sacrifices. No visiting family and friends, no regular work, no regular school, no regular fun in the playground for the kids, no regular gatherings in pubs and restaurants, no travel or vacations of any kind. Stay home and wash your hands. Basically, whoever we are, we have been told to stop the lives we were leading. Stop the lives we were leading until further notice. And no one knows for sure what our lives will look like when it comes to an end. And why are we doing this? Our leaders are not mincing words. We are doing this because by doing so, we are saving lives. In other words, we have sacrificed the lives that we were leading in order to ensure life for others. Sound familiar? As you move through this Holy Week in the year 2020, I hope you feel more than ever a personal understanding of how sacrifice can give life to others. I hope you feel more than ever a personal understanding of not only the road that Jesus walked, but why he walked it. He walked that dark road for you and me. Jesus' message from beginning to end was love and forgiveness through self-sacrifice. Everything he said reflected this one way or another. But it was not enough that he came into the world and proclaimed this message. It was not enough that he said God loved us and forgave us. It was not enough that he said that we should love and forgive one another, but rather through his suffering and death and resurrection, Jesus became the very message he proclaimed. Jesus actually became love and forgiveness for the world through self-sacrifice. He became the message embodied. Jesus sacrificed himself in order that transformation and new life could happen to all humanity. In Paul's wonderful letter to the Philippians, we hear the famous hymn of the early church. Being found in human form, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even death on a cross. Jesus proclaimed the love of God, not just with words, not just with deeds of healing, but with his very life. Amen.